I never expected to make one of these types of videos again talking about Rwby, but I saw this video talking about Rwby, Rose, and I decided, why not? Of all the characters in Rwby, Ruby Rose is my absolute favorite. I like her weapon, I like her semblance, she has a great personality, Lindsay Jones does a great job voicing her, and I'd like to see Rwby be more awesome. I say that because I'm going to do my best to not turn this other thing on just going to say that she's the greatest and shit like that. Because that video I saw from Vexed Viewer made me realize the shortcomings Rwby's seen as a result of the show's writing, and I feel I could talk about them. And before we go any further, I just want to say that any and all information I find relevant will be in the description. Alright. Agency. The one thing that's been hurting Ruby Rose as a character is that she lacks agency. Let's talk about that. Starting from the first episode, they made her out to be the main character and learn about her and talk about her motivation. She wants to be a huntress, since that's what her parents did. Young her fairy tales, talking about huntsmen and their exploits. And she just wants to help people. And when she went to Beacon, things are going great. Volumes 1 and 2 help to show how she needs to be a good team leader, and in reality, she goes off on her own every chance she gets. And during the dance, Ozzy tells her about how she needs to take a moment just to enjoy being a teenager and not run off to kill Grim every chance she gets. And in Volume 3, she's unable to save two of her friends from dying, even with her semblance. And in Volume 4, she starts to feel the losses of Penny and Pyrrha, even as she goes off on her own as part of the newly formed Team Ranger. We're getting somewhere. We've set up what could be flaws for her. She feels she needs to be the hero every chance she gets. She doesn't take a minute to appreciate the little moments. She's so selfless that she doesn't do anything to fulfill a selfish desire, as opposed to which Sayaka from Madoka Magica learned the hard way. So instead of Ruby's cheerful attitude as a facade, and I haven't seen evidence for that, that could work if we see evidence for that. Wait, now that I think about it, I think she may have some nightmares. She may have had some nightmares in Volume 4, but that's neither here nor there. But then, a much-needed talk happened, and Rwby learned about the maidens and the relics. Have I mentioned how much I hate the maidens? This is why. Following this, Ruby's character isn't anything related to her, such as coming to terms with reality of being a huntress. It's all about trying to stop Sam and defend the relics in the name of Ozpin. Rwby and all the now 4 Beacon students are now just A, pawns for Ozpin in his chess game against Salem, or B, soldiers in Ozpin's war against Salem, and Crow is their commanding officer. And you want to know something else that could make this worse? When Yang met Raven, Raven went on about how Ozpin isn't a man to be trusted. And what happens when Ozpin tells of his conflict with Salem? Rwby completely buys in, content to follow Ozpin and Oscar's head like a stray puppy that was taken into somebody's house. In the Battle for Haven, Rwby gives 2 impassioned pleas to join the side of good. First to Raven, who just says, "You sound like your mother," which translates to take your offer and shove it up your ass. And then to Emerald saying they don't have to fight, only for Emerald to continue attacking her. This feels like a bad omen. Rwby doesn't develop because her idealism makes her an easy soldier for Ozpin to use for his own ends. Does that sound wrong when you say it out loud? But I'm standing by it. Anyway, the only logical conclusion I can see happening from this is that Rwby ends up being a part of Ozpin's inner circle, or the Ozluminati, as some fans are calling it. Why? Allegiance, of course! Rwby's big thing is that a shitload of characters, if not all of them, are supposed to be allegiance to specific characters and stories, with the exception of Juniper, who are supposed to be historical figures that disguised as the opposite sex in their stories/legends. Let me go through a few of them. Rwby is Little Red Riding Hood. Weiss is Snow White. Blake is Beauty for Beauty and the Beast. Yang is Goldilocks. Cinderfall is Cinderella. And those are some of the confirmed ones. I'm not going to speculate about what the unconfirmed ones are because that's not my way to enjoy a day where I can just kick back and relax. Ozpin himself is supposed to be the wizard from the Wizard of Oz. Among his inner circle, Crow is the Scarecrow, Ironwood is the Tin Man, Lionheart was the Cowardly Lion, Glinda is Glinda, the Good Witch of the South. And my prediction is that Rwby will be invited and she'll be the Dorothy of the group, and Zwei will be the Toto. If that happens, that'll be just another thing you can file under things that are predictable and not. If that happens again, if that happens, that'll be just another thing you can file under things that are predictable and obvious that Rwby has to show things are groundbreaking and game-changing and shocking. Having Rwby be the Dorothy of the Ozluminati will hurt because it is so on the nose. And it'll also cement Rwby as one of the worst rated characters on the show because any of the interesting directions you could take her character will most likely never be taken. Alright. Now the Silver Eyes. And I know that this is a big thing of debate, so I'm really stepping up to the plate for this. Anyway, Silver Eyes is important for this discussion. I've said before about how this show should have focused on Silver Eyes being the next big power instead of the Maidens. And I'll concede the fact that it came out of nowhere to take out Cinder and advance the plot with zero foreshadowing. The reason I'm more forgiving than others is because the moment itself when it was unleashed was really cool, and I still think that there are ways you can expand that power and the lore of the show, and probably not break everything. I'm just thinking of someone might respond to this. The problem here is that nothing has come up from the Silver Eyes in 2 volumes since we first saw them. And that Vexed Viewer video I saw brings up that it's on Rwby now that she hasn't brought them up. Especially as Crow pointed out to Rwby is a prime target of Salem since the fall of Beacon in Volume 4. As it pains me to say, I have to say that he's onto something. Rwby hasn't asked one question on Silver Eyes since Volume 3, letting her approach Crow and Osmond about harnessing their power. It hurts even more since during the Haven fight, she uses them again. I wouldn't go as far as to say she's a complete moron, but the longer she avoids this, the worse it really makes her look. Sorry, I get allergies. I have allergies, guys. My apologies. In the novel Goldfinger, there's a line I think is amazing and can explain a lot of things. Once is happenstance, twice is coincidence, the 3rd time, it's enemy action. We're about to enter the 3rd volume since Silver Eyes were introduced. If we don't get anything out of Silver Eyes in Volume 6, I'll be thinking a bit less of Rwby and the writing of this show. And it's got some... And even already, this show already has some glaring fault. This show has some glaring flaws already that is hurting it substantially. And if you don't address the Silver Eyes in Volume 6, you're only adding on to the problems, guys. Alright, Summer. If there's one selfish thing I want from Rwby, it's talking about Summer Rose, Rwby's mother. All we know about her is that she was leader of Team Stark, and she was a great mom. The red trailer had Rwby at her mother's grave before she fought some Grim, and Volume 3 had Rwby at her mother's grave a few times. Also, going by Red Like Roses Part 2, when Rwby learned her mom died, she didn't take it very well. First off, if the only one we see that angle addressed is on the soundtrack, That's fucking pathetic. If you tell people to listen to a soundtrack song to get away with not doing character development because the songs are their point of view, that's worse than telling and not showing. That's worse than lazy writing. That's just making money to fans, expecting them to do your job for you. And I'm not going to stand for it. Back on topic. Summer's interesting because of what it could mean for Rwby. Maybe she knows how great a huntress Summer was and wants to be like her. Maybe she wants to specialize in saving families that are being attacked by Grim because she doesn't want a family to be torn apart like hers was before she could even realize what a torn family even meant. Maybe one of these characters were trying to be her own huntress and not what her mother was. Maybe she could come face to face with the same situation and kill her mother. Hell, Eren went through something similar in Eren Yeager went through something similar in Attack on Titan when he came across the Titan that ate his mother, and it led to one of the biggest and most important moments of that entire manga. I'm not sure if Rwby will go through something that intense, but the fact that Summer Rose was Ruby's mother and a Silver Eyes could go Silver Eyes could go a long way, and Silver Eyes could go a long way in developing Rwby and helping us to understand how she views the world. Rwby said Rwby is celebrating her mother when she talks idealistically and optimistically, so the hints are there. The thing that Silver Eyes and Summer Rose share is that there's potential for something to be realized. Whether or not the potential is realized or wasted lies solely on the competence of the writer, whether it's a fan fiction writer or it's Miles and Kerry writing the actual canon. Don't fuck this up, guys. Don't fuck this up. Alright. Hand to hand. A lot has been said about Rwby not being very good at hand-to-hand combat and overly relying on Crescent Rose. At face value, that's not a bad thing. Although after Volume 5, I guess the problem I'm seeing is that the show wants us to think that she got over her hand-to-hand issues after just one scene of training and giving one headbutt to Mercury. Or it wasn't really a headbutt, it was just like, she went like this. Like, yes! With her head. And hit Mercury on the chin. Anyway. Alright, about that. If the idea, again, Rwby is said to be bad hand-to-hand, and apparently the show wants us to think she got over it after one shot to Mercury with her head. One. If the idea is to say she could hold her own, I guess that's fine. I think the problem here lies in the fact that the show has made a big deal that her hand-to-hand combat is lacking, as in, if Rwby doesn't have Crescent Rose, she's fucked. Maybe if her hand-to-hand skills were more along the lines of needs work, if her hand-to-hand skills are more along the lines of needs work, I'd say it'd get a pass. Again, but the problem here is that the show hyped up Rwby's hand-to-hand skills as terribly lacking, and it was built up as a major weakness. Like how Raven's power is so hyped that we get things like her being, like Raven Brahmin being the Spring Maiden. Again, that's not my thing because I already said I hate the maidens on a fundamental level, and I can't bring myself to even start defending them. My headcanon when it comes to Rwby's hand-to-hand is that her fighting style could still be scythe heavy, but when disarmed, she could hold her own. Maybe her hand-to-hand fighting would be like a fight in hockey. Sloppy and scrappy, but still able to deliver some pretty nasty blows. And apparently, and again, the show wants us to think that with some off-screen training and one on-screen headbutt, her hand-to-hand skills are the fusion of Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali. I don't get what the show or the fans want. I really don't get what the show or the fans want when it comes to hand-to-hand for Rwby. Maybe I think that there'd be, the only way I could think of, if we could get some answers about Rwby's hand-to-hand skill, if we spent more time dedicated to it, and dedicating time to Rwby's training in that field. But we didn't get that because episode length and numbers. You know, it's really frustrating, guys. It's really frustrating. Alright. As I said at the beginning, Rwby's my favorite character, and the way she's been handled lately has got me going. Anyway, a few months ago, Reddit, Miles and Kerry did an AMA on the Rwby subreddit, and that puts the two of them on record, saying that some of the feedback they considered when they started writing Volume 6 was that Rwby needs more attention and more meaningful conflicts. Alright, guys. You just made Volume 6 your all-in proving ground. I've already had Volume 6 as the last chance for you guys to do something interesting with Silver Eyes, but you brought on yourselves that you upped the ante to make Volume 6 the last chance for Rwby to develop Rwby substantially. So here's what's going to happen after Volume 6. Either Rwby develops as an actual character and the show is her story, or she's forever lost in a sea of confusing lore and inconsistent powers and abilities that this show has created, doomed to just follow Osmond in his inner circle in the bitter endgame that is defeating Salem. And if you do the latter thing, that'd still be probably the 4th or 5th worst thing that this show's writing has done. And if that happens, I really don't want the only way that I follow this show is by reading episode summaries on Wikipedia. Have a wonderful day.